Hey guys, so this was a very interesting chapter this week. Uh, yeah, even before I get into this chapter, a quick side note about last week's chapter. Upon rereading it, I had two consecutive light bulb moments. The first was just how many parallels that from Mashima was drawing upon from the Star Wars franchise. And looking back, it's made me realize how much he's done this in the entire series. So I wonder if it's just mere coincidence or if Mach was a fan. Like another author I know, Kohei Horikoshi. So yeah, it's interesting how he has drawn upon that parallel to Star Wars. Now that I think about it. The second light bulb moment came when I remembered who the Knights of the Dancing Sakura were. They were from just those, if you remember back in chapter 29, there were those large, like, there were those large, there were those large, there were those large, like, those large statues. So if if Zenith is basically is one of those is one of those knights, then that kind of raises a whole new slew of questions. Like, is Zenith truly the last survivor of the knights, or is Machma setting up that we might meet the others at some point as well? Because in either case, I do imagine we'll be diving into a lot of lore with the Knights, particularly their contributions to Ether Gear and the overall world as we know it. Because I don't think it's really by coincidence either that Prince Mashma had pretty much set up Zenith as the progenitor of Satan Gravity. Like he is the one who created Satan Gravity, so I wouldn't be surprised if the others, if the other knights had in some way or another or contributed to another to maybe the creation of other ether gears, or if they were responsible for the creation of just how the world in itself operates. So yeah, um I'd really like to see exactly what their contributions were to the world as it is. Now, obviously, the main thing to talk about with this chapter is that Dr. Muller is gone. That son of a bitch practically executed, which was so satisfying to watch unfold with all the shit he's pulled in his demented life. But at the same time, I'll be honest, when I read the spoilers for this chapter, I got a little concerned because it made it out as if Weiss and Laguna were the only ones in order to deliver the finishing blow to Mueller. And where it got iffy for me is how, on surface level, it looked like Majin was going to was going to be sidelining Hermit for the rest of the fight. So yeah, that was my biggest concern just reading the spoilers. Now, having read the chapter itself, I'm okay. I'll say I definitely like how the chapter played out, but at the same time, I'm also kind of confused as to what happened on with Hermit in this chapter, because from what we see, Hermit in this chapter was attempting to in order to hack Mueller's OTech body, but it wasn't really made clear if it actually worked or not with everything else going on in the chapter. But it's one of those things that it's one of those things where it's one of those things where however I might feel about Hermit's contribution, I still stand by that I am happy with the result that Mueller is basically fucking done. Like, Mueller is just, you are done, son. You are done, son. And I will say, when it comes to such a psychotic monster like Mueller, who spent his whole life ripping people, ripping machines apart, it only seems fitting that Mueller himself would meet his end in the exact same way, completely torn to shreds. And I think really, if I did have like any kind of gripe with the end result of this fight, aside from the confusion with Hermit, is that I is that Mueller's death happened too fast. That motherfucker needed to suffer a little bit more before, well, even before he met his end. But you know what? I'll still take it. Like, I'll still take it. The man, the man freaking the man deserved that fate. Just torn, just or his robot body torn to shreds, like he's torn so many others to shreds, especially Hermit. Like after what he did to Hermit, that is the most perfect ending to this monster's life. I'll say that much. Um, with that said, let's talk about Muller's final act, which is activating the Dooms. I think, he's the one who activated the Doomsday system. And this is actually something where I see it playing out one of two ways, either of which I can see as equally likely scenarios. The first is that Hermit pulls a last minute, last minute deactivation that saves the planet by the skin of everyone's teeth, or or by the skin of everyone's teeth, like she saves the planet and she saves the people who are trying to escape. Or the other scenario is that she stops the device, giving the others just enough time to get off the planet, but the planet itself is still going to explode because of the damage caused to the planet's core. Like with basically everything with the big light show going on the planet right now, that there's no way that the planet hasn't suffered some kind of damage. So I think that's probably what the case here. And honestly, I can see Mashima pulling maybe a bit of a combination of both of these, simply because within Zero, he's definitely one thing he's definitely been great at with this series is showing that for whatever victories the crew may achieve, there's always going to be some kind of consequence to those actions and their involvement. So I do think no matter what the end result of this looks like, I still think the planet is still doomed in some way, whether it's an immediate or a delayed reaction. Uh, and honestly, the more I think about it, the only other third option I can see happening here is that this might be another situation where Mashima could bring in another chronophage in order to reverse time on the planet and freeze it in place almost. Like I don't know. This does seem also like another time he could do that, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, these are just the first three scenarios I see in my head. So I'll just leave it to you guys as to what you think is the most likely scenario to happen here. Um, obviously, the other thing to talk about in regards to Mueller though is we see Ivory pretty much we see Ivory Ivory pretty much taking care of Clean, and we saw that she also chose in order to kind of I guess you could say digitize herself into Clean's mind, and yeah, like digitize herself in Clean's mind in order to find the problem and try to fix it. And yeah, with the reveal of Mueller also having killed the Rutherford parents on top of what he's done to Jin, I honestly don't know what Ivory's even going to be able to do here because again, I'm kind of repeating myself here, but the thing with Clean right now is that she has some really heavy trauma, like emotional and psychological trauma, and even if it's one of those things where even if I've managed to cure the source of it, at this point the recovery process for Clean is going to be very long and very hard. That there's no way Clean gets out of this without some kind of emotional damage, and just based on Ivory's reaction, I think she's aware of this as well. Like that from she can sure as much like from cure the surface level as she can sure as hell cure like the surface level of this trauma, but the emotional part will be probably up to Clean more than anything else. So yeah, like I don't I really don't know what exactly is gonna like. I'm a little more confident that Prince Clean is going to survive this. It's just a matter of how Mashima handles things like from after the fact that she's probably cured, because that's gonna be the most important part as to what Clean's like mind and what her psyche is going to look like after all this. That's kind of the key thing I'm looking at right now is I think Clean's more than likely going to survive, but it's again just more like what is her psyche going to look like after this. It's I think it's still in some ways going to be a little messed up, to be frank about it. But Yeah, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and let's do Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.